Hello, hello, and good evening. This is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and I am very happy to be with you today. It is officially 2022. It's January 4th, 2022. So, Happy New Year. Congratulations, you made it. There are many, many, many on this earth for a myriad of reasons who did not make it to 2022, yet you are here, which means there is purpose left for you to do on this earth. And so I am also happy to be here, which means there's purpose left for me. And if you and I are sharing this time together, I hope that our purposes align and that I am able to encourage you on your journey, no matter where you are on it. So, if you're like, who is this person who just popped up in my feed and why am I listening to her? What is this about? My name is Dallas Cohen. I'm the Rebound Coach, and just a tiny bit about me before becoming the Rebound Coach. I help people get unstuck. That's kind of what that means. I'm a life coach. Life coaches help people get unstuck in different areas. My particular area is relationships, and I'll tell you why. Before becoming the Rebound Coach, I was raised in a good faith-based home, Christian home, raised by two parents who loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime before my mother passed away, and I saw what it was like for a spouse to be a caretaker for another spouse. My father was my mother's caretaker, and they were a great example of a good marriage. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And that radically changed, number one, how I saw myself, how I related to God, and how I related to men. So, fast forward, when I met the man that I married, there were definitely red flags, really visible. However, I was a praying woman. I am a praying woman. And I believed that God was with us. And because I believed God was with us, I believed that whatever trouble came, we'd be able to overcome it or outlast it or both. Well, trouble came right away and never quite went away. It was a cycle of what I call coping in crisis, where we were kind of barely making it, and then things blew up into a giant crisis, some sort of catastrophe. And we'd kind of recover from the catastrophe and barely make it again until the next catastrophe. And as the years went on, those crises were worse and worse. And things came to a head in January of 2020 when the man I had been married to for over 9 years at that time, almost 10 years, left for another woman. And I found out maybe a day later, he and that woman had been plotting my murder for months by the time I found out. Needless to say, this was, a pause in life. It was a really crazy time. And, I was incredibly threatened as as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, as a child of God, as a human being on the planet. Um, but also as a coach, I had been coaching faith-based relationships and marriages for about 5 or 6 years. So if you can imagine building a platform and building an identity around being married, staying married, um, allowing God to help you stay married in the most difficult of circumstances, and then that very thing be the thing that has fallen apart. It was very, embarrassing is a light word, but embarrassing, um, to say the least. And I had a choice to make. I could allow the circumstances that had surrounded me and the identity that my former husband had planned for me to tell me who I was, or I could choose life. So I have written a memoir. It's called I Choose Life. Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And it is my story. But more than my story, it is instructions, it is insight, it is inspiration, and it's a way that you can use your own path to choose life for yourself, to rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And I'll be talking more about not just the book, but my own journey today. Today's a little more vulnerable of a post or a live, um, which is not that I haven't just told you a very vulnerable and very true story of my life. But this story that has been written in a book and is very true and raw and, vulnerable. I've been talking about it for several months, and I've become comfortable in talking about this part of the story. And often when you see a coach or a speaker come on a live, or a master class or anything of the sort, they're coming from a place of, I've walked through this thing, I have solved the riddle, and I'm here to show you the way, right? That's where they're coming from. Well, today I'm coming from a little different place. I'm on the journey. I've had the privilege of serving men and women in the past around relationships. And after everything happened for me, and I've written this book, I've been targeting and been able to serve women, high achieving women in particular, who've lived through betrayal, trauma, or abuse, and who want to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. And so it has been a journey. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy isn't just a slogan. It isn't just something that I'm hoping that people who work with me achieve. It is something I am also on the path of. So if you or someone is a high achieving woman who has lived through betrayal, trauma, or abuse, I'd love to share this book with you, my story. You can find it at thereboundcoach.com/book. That is thereboundcoach.com/book. You can, of course, order from Amazon right there, or you can get a hard copy that I will personally sign and dedicate to you and send to you, which I'll be more than happy to do so. So that's a little bit about myself and kind of what we're doing today. So I titled today's live "The Struggle for Next," and I actually kind of went back and forth on what I was going to title it. Because we're in a series called All Things New. That's what I'm doing for the month of January. Just talking about exploring this idea of all things new. What does that look like? Why are we doing it? Why is it worth the effort? What kind of effort is involved? What else going on with this? So, of course, we're in January, and with any new year, new Gregorian year, people focus on the things they'd like to change. It's an opportunity. The changing of time, or how we count time, is an opportunity to change path, to improve your life in a more intentional way. And people take the time to put intention around how they want to change your life. And so that takes the form of New Year's resolutions, where people are changing their behavior, trying to create a better life for themselves. You hear a lot about, healthy eating or exercise, or I'm going to read more, I'm going to study more, I'm going to do, whatever your faith practice, I'm going to do more of that. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, people fail in the first 2 weeks. So we are not even a weekend to the new year. And if you made a resolution, I hope you are still going strong on January 4th. But so often that, we try to do some new behavior to change your life. And, the vast majority of folks don't succeed with that. And there's a particular lens I want to talk about when you are a person that has lived through betrayal, trauma, or abuse, specifically in romantic relationships or home situations, family situations. And you are coming out of that, or you've come out of that, and you're looking to the future, wanting to build a better life for yourself. I honestly feel that the battle is a little steeper, a little harder. The hill's a little steeper to climb in that circumstance. Never impossible, never ever impossible. But it takes a different set of intentionality, in my opinion. I am walking this walk, and I have walked alongside others as they climb into their next and struggle for their next. And there's quite a bit of unlearning required, in addition to learning new things. So often when we're trying to make a shift, a change, and we're changing a behavior to change our lives, we're trying to learn something new. And we can often, especially in America in these times, these days and age, day and age, we can be information junkies and just constantly be looking for the next magic information that's going to make it easy. Number one, nothing worth having is easily achieved. It's normally a process. It's normally something that takes a while. There's normally ebbs and flows and up and downs and brick walls and stuff you run into. And that's worth it. It is still worth it. Even though it's hard, even though it takes a long time, even though everything's not clear. For high achieving women, many of us like our ducks in a row. We like to know what's around the corner. And the reality is, when you are achieving success, no matter what area that is in your life, it's not a straight line. And there has to be grace that you give yourself to learn as you go. And so I'm allowing myself that grace, and I'm sharing a bit of that with you today. When we're coming from that trauma lens, okay, we need so much more than a new behavior or even a new environment. Okay, so often when I'm going to take this off because there's smudges on it. Often when we are coming out of an abusive environment or a traumatic environment, we think that automatically, because we're in a new place, maybe, for myself, I had to leave where I was living and live in a different place, me and my children. And so sometimes when you're in a new environment, we feel like, oh, this is all I needed. I just needed to be away from him, right? I just needed to be in that new place. I just needed to be out of this relationship. I just need this new job. I just need a fresh start. And while fresh starts are really, really good, helpful, useful, beneficial, it's not the full picture, right? Because we take us into the new environment. So, and the issue or truth of the matter is, when we believe what we believe, good, bad, or indifferent, those beliefs, that paradigm, if you will, guide our decisions. And if we take that with us, no matter where we go, we make the same decisions. And this is how we can end up in a relationship setting. This is how we end up with new partners that act the same. So people who have had several abusive relationships, and they go, why do I keep picking this same person? It's not the people, right? So you can break up with this one and change your environment and still end up in the same place with a new person, because we are the ones who have to change, right? So again, that is a process, but it's a process worth being on. And if you are on the journey to being made new, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to walk along your journey with you as a coach or just as a friend. So we need more than just a new environment. We need more than just new behavior to make our life better. We need to be made new. So in these weeks of January, we're going to be exploring that. What does it mean to be made new? What does it mean to transform, to rewrite your love story, to change your legacy? And when I say love story in the book, or when we talk about that, I don't specifically mean only a romantic relationship or a romantic love life. Well, that is part of it, but learning how to love and how to be loved is something of a dance that we learn as children. Honestly, we learn this as children from parents. And then, as our circle expands of more people we interact with, we learn those dynamics with those other people. And for better and for worse, many of us need to retrain ourselves as adults to do this dance better. And so in that dance, and I am in that process right now, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I don't come today as a guru or someone who has all the answers. I come today as a woman on the path, on the journey, and wanting to share with you what I've learned so far, and hoping that it sheds a little light onto your journey, wherever it is you are. So Okay, so last week we talked about vision and we talked about commitment killers. So if you're new to this, as this is your first time sharing a live with me, I'm glad you're here on the Facebook page, which is where this is broadcasted. But you might be catching this on some other location in the future. But at our Facebook page, facebook.com, of course, / the rebound coach, you can find all of my videos, all my weekly videos. So you can find the one from last week where we talked about vision. What's your vision? And we talked about several commitment killers to the vision. And while vision is extremely important and something we should always be cultivating, we should also, so when you think of vision, you think of how you want your life to look, right? So you're looking forward, how you want your life to look. Today, I want to kind of turn that perspective. So if you were, looking out of a windshield, instead of looking out the windshield or the rear view mirror, we're not looking out the back to the past either. We're looking in the mirror. So if you have one of those cars where where the little thing comes down and you have the mirror that blocks the sun, the little thing in your car that blocks the sun, and then you have a mirror there. So imagine instead of this vision where I'm creating a vision for my life. What do I want my life to look like? I'm looking into the future. That is one exercise for being made new. We want to change that perspective and instead look at the mirror itself. Look at your own reflection and then take that same energy. Instead of what I want my life to look like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to look like in this new season of my life, in this new year, in this new chapter, whatever that is for you? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? Who am I now? Is that serving me? Those are deep, heavy questions. And I encourage you to not just, browse past this. If you happen to be here today, if you happen across this video at some point, there's a reason. I don't believe in accidents. I believe that there's purpose for you and I sharing this time today. There's purpose in everything I've overcome that got me to this moment and everything you've overcome that's gotten you to this moment that we can share together. And we can explore these deep things together. And I encourage you to really explore this. Who am I? Has that served me? And in the future that I say I want, in the vision that I say I have for my life, does who I am serve that, fit that? Will it produce the results that I'm after? Okay. And so, we're going to go a little deeper today. All right. And start to consider what it takes to be made new. So here's a few things. I just have a few thoughts for you. We're not going to go very long tonight because they're deep thoughts and I want you to sit with them. And I would love for you can share in the comments here on this video. You can contact me at thereboundcoach.com. You can contact me on social medias. My inbox is open and I'd love to hear where you're coming from, where it is that you're going, and what your reflections are on some of these questions we're talking about today. So here's some truths who I find to be self-evident. Who you want to be and who you used to be cannot coexist. And I would even say who you want to be and who you are cannot coexist. Okay? They can't both be manifesting at the same time. So one thing gives way to the other. And if you're not self-aware, if you don't know, if you haven't explored who you want to be, what character traits, what core values matter to you, what core values are non-negotiables for you. So integrity is something for me. Integrity is a non-negotiable for me. So if I'm living out of integrity, if I'm living out of authenticity, something's not right. I need to make a change because my core value is integrity. Integrity before my God, integrity with myself, integrity with others. So it's very important that I tell the truth, even if that truth is ugly, even if that truth is angry. I read a post earlier today about Job and how God can really handle everything you are at any time. He can handle your emotions. Um, can we handle them is the real question. So it's worth exploring. What makes you angry is worth exploring. What makes you upset is worth exploring. What makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled, what makes you peaceful is worth exploring, and why. What resonates with you, what makes you feel alive, that's worth exploring. Okay? So who you want to be, who you used to be cannot coexist. We have to decide who we are when we make decisions. So when we make decisions, we're making decisions based on who we are. That's the truth. Now, who we think we are and who we are can be very different. How do we know? Look at your decisions. Look at your decisions. Look at your decisions. The good ones and the bad ones when we're procrastinating, when we are compromising our integrity, compromising our values. Um, there's normally something we're after when we're doing those things. And it's worth exploring, what is it we're going after? What is it that we feel like we need, right? So journaling, keys to figure this out, journaling and taking time to reflect are really, really helpful. Don't skip those processes. It doesn't come easy, like I said earlier. An amazing life is worth having, and it's worth doing what it takes to reach it. So exploring yourself, your mind, your thoughts, your mind, will, and emotions are worth doing. If you need a therapist, go get one of those. You need a coach, go get one of those. I happen to be a coach in this area. So if what I'm speaking resonates with you, contact me. I'd love to see if we're fit for coaching. You can get on my calendar right there. And so I wasn't really, at that point yet, but you can, of course, just reach out to me at thereboundcoach.com. That's really the easiest way, thereboundcoach.com, to get to me. And so the next question I want to raise is, what part of who you are now, are you willing to give up to be made new? That's a heavy question. And so we all know that we have productive and unproductive habits. We have productive and unproductive mindsets. We have productive and unproductive paradigms. And so identifying what those are for you will be really helpful in knowing, okay, what part of who I am today am I willing to say goodbye to become who I want to become the person that fits in the vision that I have set for myself. Okay. One of those keys to do that is knowing your core values, is what I talked about before. What are the top 10 character traits that you define yourself by? What are the things that are non-negotiable for you? Like, I will not compromise this in my life. This is very important to me. Okay. And being accountable. The Bible talks about there is wisdom in a multitude of counselors. And so often when things are secret, when we're sliding secretly, we can get confused. And sometimes when things are very, very close, it's easy to lose perspective. And that's when a trusted friend, a colleague, a mentor, someone who cares about you, someone who knows your core values and will call you on them. It's really valuable. And so knowing your core values and remaining accountable, and someone who cares enough to call you on your stuff, but also loves you enough to allow you to be where you are, and without judgment, without shame, just in love, speaking the truth in love and allowing you to be where you are. Those are the best. As a coach, I care about my clients. I care about them too much to leave them where they are. So if you're serious about your journey, you're serious about your path, hit me up. So a second question, or third question rather, last question I'm going to raise: what kind of ways are you being made new this year? Where's your intention? So we talked about vision. last week, and some of you shared some of your vision with me, and I really appreciate that. And so, like I said, I want to turn that focus from outward to inward and say, all right, who do you want to be? What parts of yourself that you are now are you willing to let go of so that you can be made new? And then what areas, what kind of ways are you being made new this year? Are you setting the intention to be made new this year? What I know is true is that when we do set intention, the circumstances are created where that can happen. And it's really up to us to follow through on those choices. And so, what are you giving up? What part of yourself are that who you are now or who you were are you sacrificing to become who you want to be? All right. And then last concept for you, my mentor talks about playing to win versus playing not to lose. And for myself and for many, many, many others, we focus on playing not to lose. We don't want to lose money. We don't want to lose time. We don't want to lose our heart. We don't want to lose whatever we don't want to lose, right? So we hold on tight to what we have. I'm holding my hands tight. We hold on tight to what we have so we don't lose. Don't lose, don't lose. Hold tight so we don't lose. The problem is playing to win and playing not to lose are two very different strategies. They're two very different strategies. Playing not to lose is a safety man's play. I'm not saying necessarily there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying you can't play to win and also play not to lose at the same time. Those don't go together. So when we're holding tight, we're also not reaching for the win. If we were to reach for the win, we'd have to let go of holding tight to what we have, which means when we're going for the win, we could lose. We could lose. That's real. Many times we do lose, but you cannot win protecting yourself from the loss. They don't go together. So at some point you have to decide what is more important to you. Is it more important to keep what you have, or is it more important to reach for what you want? That's a heavy question. And I ask you to be honest with yourself about your answer. And if your answer, let's be honest, if your answer is, I would rather keep what I have. If that is your honest answer, then let it be. Let it be. Keep what you have. Play safe. Play not to lose. Do your best not to lose and have your best not losing life. There really isn't, there's no rules that say you have to take all the risk, right? There's nobody telling you that. When you're making your vision and you're saying, this is what I want out of life, this is how I want to love, this is how I want to be loved, this is how I want my legacy to change, this is how I choose life, right? If you want that is something you don't currently have, you're going to have to do things you've never done. You're going to have to run the risk of losing what you have to gain what you don't. And so I want to share a brief video about someone who was working with me and on her own journey of changing her rewriting her love story and changing her legacy and choosing life. Her name's Desiree, and I want to share her story with you. And I will be right back.
Hi, my name is Desiree and I choose life. 3 months ago, before working with Dallas, I was stuck in my business. I had no confidence or trust in myself. My relationships were frustrating. I thought I could do it all on my own. I thought I could help myself, but I saw no change and I was just stuck. Now, 3 months later, after working with Dallas, I'm moving forward with my business. I trust myself. I've learned to enjoy who God created me to be and not live my life based through accomplishments. My relationship with God is more aligned with who He is and who He wants me to be. My relationship with my parents and at work have improved. I am more confident in myself. I trust myself. So if you're like me, who thought you were Superwoman and could change and do everything on your own, but you're still the same and nothing is happening, you did Dallas. So please go to thereboundcoach.com right now and get in touch with her. Choose life right now and she'll help you get through everything.
Okay, so that was uh, that was Destiny. She had Desiree. She has an amazing testimony. I'm really proud of her. And if you are a high achieving woman who was like Desiree and was trying to do everything by herself and just not getting any progress, if you are in a cycle of coping and crisis for yourself, I would love to walk alongside you on your journey. Feel free to contact me. We would do a free strategy session and just see if we're a good fit. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear where you are and if we can come alongside and work together for you to choose life for yourself. There's also a opportunity. We've been creating very sacred spaces for a group of women, a small group of women, to choose life for themselves over a weekend, and that is called Sanctuary. The next opportunity, it's a women's retreat. The next opportunity for Sanctuary is in April of this year. And you can find out more information about that at thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. Again, you can also just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to chat with you, see if it's a good fit. It is 3 days in Clearwater Beach, Florida. We do some very sacred rituals that restore not just the physical body, but our emotions and our spiritual health as well. So, if you want to hear more about that, hit me up. I'd be more than happy to talk with you about it. And I'd love to hear how things are going for you. I'd love to hear how the first 4 days of this year has gone and how you are choosing life for yourself. So thank you so much for joining me. Please send your feedback. And until next time, choose life.